So what we're going to talk about today is kind of a new era in marketing technology and kind of some of the trends that we're seeing with marketing automation, particularly how it works with CRM systems. Obviously, John and his company are heavily involved in the CRM space with Sugar CRM. And we came to know John through that relationship. Salesfusion is a marketing automation platform that is oftentimes integrating with CRM systems. And that's a trend that's definitely caught on, particularly over the last 18 months or so. Companies are really looking hard at adding marketing technology to their CRM systems, moving away from traditional things like email blasts and trying to get more intelligent in how they message prospects through nurture marketing. And also, sales and marketing alignment is a very big topic with a lot of organizations, knowing that CRM systems, which have been around quite a while and are quite mature, add a lot of value to the front end of the company, don't necessarily address the very top of the funnel. And these are some of the concepts we'll kind of talk about today. It's definitely not going to be anything that's really going to go into any product discussions per se, mostly strategy and trends that we see in the market. So just so you know, from a credibility standpoint, Salesfusion has been in the marketing automation space now since going back to probably 2008 timeframe. We've got over 500 customers globally that use our system. Many of those folks are taking marketing automation and integrating it in to a CRM to enable sales and marketing alignment. So we've been at this quite a while. We've kind of been on the forefront of this trend. So hopefully that gives us the credibility to speak about it. So what we'll cover today, again, what are some of the underlying trends in marketing automation, why they're important, why they're relevant to CRM, what are some of the usage adoption and some of the inherent challenges that occur with it, sales marketing alignment as an imperative for companies, and then just kind of the future of where marketing automation is going. So from an underlying trend standpoint, and what's cool about being at Salesfusion in my position is that I did spend time in CRM many, many years ago. It was a brief, about a four-year period with a company called Onyx Software. Other than that, all my career has been in marketing technology. But marketing automation is evolving very much the same way that CRM evolved, which is taking point solutions and bringing them into a platform to drive business process improvement. So with marketing automation, we've seen, you've got email tools, you've got landing page tools, social tools, website analytics, you've got all these different discrete tools that marketers were using and just acquiring themselves for $99 a month on a corporate credit card, et cetera, staying under the radar of the CIO and trying to get their job done and trying to kind of glue all these little bits and pieces together into something coherent. And it doesn't really work that well, to be honest with you. So marketing automation is bringing everything kind of into more of a platform approach, like CRM did with call center, with Salesforce automation and contact management. It is definitely being considered more of an enterprise class technology, not a departmental solution. And what I mean by that is it's starting to span multiple departments. The technology is beginning to be leveraged by multiple departments, mostly marketing and sales, but we even do see it bleed into the service side. It's moving away from just bits and bytes and features and functions to more of a revenue-centric approach. As organizations are trying to get smarter about how they spend their marketing dollars, plugging marketing automation into a CRM system is helping them really get a sense for, to the penny, when we're spending money on this ad or we're spending money on this channel, what's coming out the back end in our CRM system in terms of opportunities. Sales access and use of marketing automation. Sales is a heavy, heavy user of the data that comes out of marketing automation systems. I'll give some concrete examples of that as we go through. Revenue metrics trumps response metrics. That's an interesting point. From a marketer's point of view, as a classically trained direct marketer, someone that ran direct marketing programs in retail, we were always caring about, very specific response metrics. And what's our call to action? What's our click-through rates? What's our cost per million? Very, very specific program metrics is what most marketers were trained to focus on. And in B2B, we may have focused on things like, if I send out my email newsletter, how many clicks am I getting on that? How many people downloaded my white paper? Those are things that we focused on, and we measured ourselves as being successful if those numbers were high. We didn't really care too much about what happened after the click. or after we pass that lead to sales. And unfortunately, the way things have worked historically, and I'll give the white paper example, is we put a landing page out with a white paper, we buy an ad, we get 150 responses, we get that in Excel, and we throw that over the fence to sales, never to be seen again. And we just don't know. Or maybe once a quarter we'll circle back to sales and say, hey, you know, did any of these close? So we would pat ourselves on the back as marketers and say, wow, we got a response rate of 4.5%. So the content was good, the program was successful, and then we would stop and move on and forget about that program. Those days are long since gone. So today, marketers have to be able to track that 150, those 150 people through the CRM system, measure what sales is doing with them, see that they're going to an opportunity, and then measuring the revenue that's coming out on the back end. That's that revenue-centric approach that we really kind of all care about. A couple of things here, just some industry pundits. Most important benefit of marketing automation systems from a Pepper and Global survey in 2014, generating more leads and better leads. One of the most important objective of a marketing automation platform, increased productivity, lead volume, and revenue. The most desired feature, lead nurturing. Important metrics, conversion, lead conversion, revenue generated by campaign, so on and so forth. So you kind of get the trend here. Most of these things that people say are the most important things about marketing automation would not do standalone. You know, it needs the CRM system, and it needs to feed the CRM system in order for much of these to even make sense, the metrics, but also for the processes that they're describing to work. So underlying trends that we see in the industry. Does anybody here have a marketing automation system deployed? Okay, great. Does everybody in the room know what marketing automation is? Okay, for the most part, great. Does everybody know what lead scoring is? So I'll ask some questions. Okay, cool. Marketing automation systems, I could say, are based on between 4 and 5 pieces of technology. There's email marketing, okay, and that could be drip campaigns, nurture campaigns, trigger campaigns, or just good old-fashioned e-blasts. There's going to be landing pages, the lead capture. So when we send the email out, we want to send them to a landing page to fill out the form and download whatever it is, or register for the event, or what have you. Then what happens is the marketing automation system uses a certain bit of code and places a first-party persistent cookie on the machine of the person that's clicked or opened, okay? And what that does is that lets us see what we call downstream web activity. Web activity that occurs independent of the campaign. So it's important to know that somebody downloaded your brochure. It's more important to know that a week and a half later they were on your website for 40 minutes, right? If I'm a salesperson and I asked you and you're a salesperson, what do you think is a better bit of data? They're all going to tell you the other piece, the latter piece, right? So the web tracking that these systems have facilitate that. So then what we do is we basically take the data that comes from the email, the landing pages, the webinars, and all the events and programs you run, and then that web activity. And then we feed that through a lead scoring system. And then the lead scoring system will assign values to discrete activities. You know, if you visit this page, you're going to get points. If you download this, you're going to get points, et cetera. When we add all those points up, we can start to say, okay, we'll group you into this category. We're going to call you a hot lead, and we're going to pass you over to sales. Okay? And then we're going to track you and see what happens to you once you go into the CRM system. So the point of that is a lot of people are using the landing page piece. A lot of people are using the email piece. Not a lot of people are yet using the lead scoring, the lead routing, and the more advanced features of a nurture program. Part of that's just the evolution of the technology, right? If when we first implemented CRM systems, we may not have started right out of the gate with very advanced forecast metrics, right? We may have started with basic contact management, basic opportunity management, basic forecast reports. But as we matured in our use of CRM, we may have gotten more sophisticated in how we used it. Same holds true for marketing automation. So right now in the adoption curve, there's a lot of adoption of the basic pieces of it, the email, the landing pages. There's less adoption of these, but this is the trend now. We're starting to see people are really starting to kind of focus on those 3 elements. Part of the problem is a massive skills gap exists in the market today. Most B2B marketers don't come out of the retail world. And there's a big distinction between the retail and the B2B world. In the retail world, you know, that's much more the lab coat environment, right, where you are a data expert and you're trained in very advanced systems for data and analysis. In B2B, our experience may be constant contact, okay, where, you know, we've learned how to do digital marketing through constant contact and some rudimentary understanding of Google Analytics. And so people that understand the whole picture of marketing automation are few and far between. So hint, if you're looking for a new career change, go learn marketing automation. You'll make a lot of money because there's just not a lot of people out there that know it. And so there's a huge skills gap in the market today. Most marketers still rely too heavily on bulk email. There's always pressure from sales to marketing. I need leads, right? And marketing is subservient to sales in a B2B organization. So marketing will oftentimes panic, and when they're getting pressure from sales, they'll run back to their system and they'll just blast something out so they can get some kind of response so they can hand it to sales and say, get off my back, right? And there's no discipline in that. So that's still a problem. Marketing automation platforms have grown extremely fast. There's a lot of vendors. There's a handful of them in Atlanta, right? So we're all in a similar area. There's about 5 or 6 really good marketing automation platforms in the space today. And it's like the Cold War. You know, we're in a massive arms race with each other. And that arms race is feature development. And we're developing so many things in these platforms so fast that we have run so far beyond the average Joe who uses our systems that now we've got to stop and think about how we can improve the user experience in the training. So that's something else that we're seeing quite a bit of. And if anybody wants to ask questions as we're going through, please feel free to stop. I'll be happy to answer questions, or we can hold them till the end. The landscape, buyer control. This is a huge concept to get your head around. Buyers control your sales cycle more so today than they ever have. What they can get about you on the internet, the research that people can do on their own on the internet, and people's desire and willingness to self-sell themselves, okay, has really changed how we market to people and how we sell to people. And it's also taken a lot of control that salespeople may have had away. You know, the analogy I'll use is 15 years ago, good salespeople were those people, you know, they were kind of like a blackjack dealer at a table. They knew when to dole out that next card to that person to keep them engaged, right? And for a good salesperson, it was, here's the case study. Now, where are you in your process? Now, here's this. Now, here's this. Salespeople would do that, and really good salespeople knew how to keep people engaged throughout a long sales cycle. That doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, because all that information that the salespeople used to dish out like the dealer is now done electronically, and people are getting it themselves, right? So salespeople have almost been decoupled from that early stage evaluation process, and all that happens online. And part of that is the fault of just the evolution of the internet and how the internet's used. Part of it's the fault of the marketers. We've rushed ahead to shovel so much content out into all these channels, and then we haven't really stopped to think, okay, well, now what? You know, how do we get some metrics back, and how do we get salespeople engaged with these people who are online? We don't want to just let our website sell for us. We don't want to let the internet sell for us. So we got to figure out a way to get salespeople involved again, and that's where marketing automation comes in. We are seeing C-levels understand that there's a disconnect between marketing and sales today, technology process-wise. We're seeing that because you start getting Gartner writing about it all the time. You start getting Forrester writing about it all the time. You start getting them polling CEOs, and there's a lot of research that's hitting the market now, which is saying that CEOs actually know what sales marketing alignment means, and they know that they don't have it, and they know that they need to go out and figure out how to do it because of the first box. Okay, people are starting to understand that our salespeople don't drive this anymore. The consumer or the buyer drives everything. So we've got to figure out how to get connected back to them. The social web, as I mentioned, kind of reduces the power of the traditional sales team. The marketing automation systems, mostly through the web analytics tracking piece, is meant to get them back in. Sales should work in a clean CRM with leads pushed through a robust marketing automation platform through integration. We don't want to clutter our sales, especially when CRM is hosted and we may be paying data storage fees. We don't want to shovel tons and tons of leads into our CRM. We want to use the marketing automation system for that, market to people for a period of time, and then push those leads into the CRM system. So real quick, couple things on usage and adoption. There's issues, and they're going to persist for a while for companies that have implemented marketing automation. There's a lack of strategy, a lack of skills, a lack of data quality. These are some of the biggest issues that people are having with marketing automation. Strategies tied to marketing automation, marketing and sales alignment. One of the big problems there is marketing is not typically used to working outside of marketing. They're not used to working in like an enterprise technology business process realignment because they've never done that before, okay? So it's new for marketing. Marketing is just starting to figure that out, where you have to hire companies like AdCore Systems to come in and help you kind of realign both your technology and your processes. And marketing just has never done those types of things before, so it's new to them. The traditional IT integration projects, again, marketing has for a long time operated outside that world, right? The world that I call the core enterprise. The core enterprise here, this is what the CIO generally owns at an organization. They own the desktop and everything on it and all the software that sits on your desktop, cloud or otherwise. They own ERP, your financials, your back office. They own your CRM system. They own all of that. The marketing enterprise, which has grown up in the cloud, okay, has grown up almost in response to the fact that marketing never really got an IT budget. So you'd have people go out and they would buy survey tools. I've got SurveyMonkey, I've got MailChimp, you've got the Primate, what we call the Primate group, MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, etc. They're using Google Analytics for free. They're buying some PPC. They've got Hootsuite, throwing Al into the mix. They've got Hootsuite for social. But each one of these, taken individually, is a relatively low-cost solution that can be bought on a credit card and paid for on a credit card. $99 a month, $150 a month, $200 a month, whatever. So these low-cost solutions have allowed marketing to go out and essentially piece together a marketing automation platform through discrete tools. And then they would oftentimes glue them together with Excel, okay, which causes lots of marketers to suffer severe depression, and suicide rates start to go up. So I mean, it's terrible. It's a terrible thing. So we want to get away from this. So what's happening is we're trying to get all these pieces into one place, and that's the marketing automation piece. But with that, with great power comes great responsibility. CIOs have to get involved, and CIOs have to really kind of take control of that. So we're definitely seeing a lot of CIO involvement in the acquisition of marketing automation. A couple of other things. The use of marketing automation data is increasing exponentially by salespeople. Okay, salespeople are some of the savviest people. When they figure out what they could do with a piece of data, and if they know they can use it to their advantage, they'll exploit it for everything. So the marketing automation systems that do website visitor tracking, when you show a salesperson a quick alert that says a prospect that they're interested in is on the website and visited these 10 pages on their website today, salespeople immediately understand the value of that. You don't have to teach a salesperson how important that piece of data is. And oftentimes you don't have to teach them how to use it. You don't want them calling up, heavy breathing, I see you on my website, what are you doing? Can I come over? We don't want that. So there has to be a little tempering of their enthusiasm towards that data, but they get it immediately. So as companies like Salesfusion start to work with CRM systems like a Sugar, and we start to push that information into the CRM systems, the salespeople are really kind of latching onto this and knowing that they can do some interesting things with it. Most access can and should occur only through the CRM. We never want a salesperson logging into Salesfusion. We only want them to see what data we push into the CRM system, because there's so much other data in marketing automation system. This is a big data platform. There's so much other data that's not relevant to them. It's very relevant to marketers, but it's not relevant necessarily to sales. And they really are beginning to understand how the marketing automation data connects to the CRM and how very important that is. Let me take a quick pause. Any questions, comments, feedback, observations on anything so far? How am I doing on time, John?
You're good.
Okay. All right, so talking a little bit about sales marketing alignment. The success is going to, in the implementation, rests on how well you align lead management processes between the two departments. Lead scoring is a huge piece here, because really what lead scoring is doing is it's trying to allow you to look at the sum total of somebody's digital footprint that you've captured and determine if that's a lead that we should put a human being in front of, or if we should just continue to market to for a little while. Marketing shouldn't try to figure that out themselves. Marketing should have a meeting with sales at the very least, where they sit in a room and marketing puts up on a whiteboard all of the different elements that you can score on and solicit feedback from sales as to, how important is this? How important is this? If somebody did these things, would you find that more important or less important? So in other words, sales and marketing have to work together in defining these processes. Again, this is a BPM process, and this is also an enterprise technology. So there has to be some level of joint ownership between marketing and sales. We're even seeing cases where some of the budget for the acquisition of marketing automation is actually coming from sales, because sales is actually a driver for this. They're hearing, or somebody comes from one company to another and said, yo, we had this marketing automation system, it was crazy, the data we got, I need it. And they'll drive that. Getting C-levels to buy in and drive the process forward, not unlike CRM. You know, when CRM really kind of grew into an enterprise class application back in the mid-90s, you know, that's when CEOs had to come in and drive it. You couldn't drive it by having someone in the call center doing this and then somebody in the sales team doing this, and they don't know what they're doing, right? There has to be something over top driving that. And that could be a revenue officer, chief revenue officer. That's a common, more common title we're starting to see. And a chief revenue officer actually sits on top of marketing and sits on top of sales, and they'll drive things like this. Analytics are going to depend on the integration of the systems. Nurture marketing is going to depend on sales marketing alignment. Anytime somebody talks to us as a company and says, you know, you ask them, why do you want marketing? Well, we want to do nurture marketing. Well, what is that? Well, I don't know, but I just know we need to do it. So nurture marketing is really kind of a blending of sales activities and marketing activities in a single campaign. So having those two folks, two departments working together is key. A couple of other things here real quick. How to drive alignment from the marketing side. If you're in marketing, you're not going to have a lot of street credibility with sales. You're not going to be able to go and drive things to happen in sales, and you're certainly not going to have street credibility with IT. So you've got to bring the case of marketing automation to the CEO and bring a whole lot of research with you on what are the benefits. Okay, such as achieving revenue goals by degree of integration between sales and marketing. 80% of companies that are highly integrated are hitting their numbers. Okay, and that makes perfect sense, because if marketing and sales are working very closely together, they're well aligned, and they're kind of in tune, you're probably going to do better as a company as a whole. Participate in each other's meetings. Sales should participate in marketing. Marketing should participate in sales meetings. Include sales in any program design, and by program design I mean nurture programs. So I'll give you the one best example. One of the ways that we drive a lot of nurture programs in Salesfusion is we drive them as triggers, but we trigger off of what happens in CRM. So if I'm a salesperson and I get a lead and I call them 5 times and I leave 5 voicemails, what do I normally do? I normally just chuck it to the side and go on to the next one, right? Salespeople live in the now. So they're going to put that aside and they're going to move on. What we need to happen is that salesperson to flag that lead and change the lead status in CRM from something to something. And then the marketing system can say, oh, I have a new lead that just got flagged for nurture. Let me pick that up and put them into a 6-month program. Okay? What the salesperson never knows is the person not picking up their phone because they're not interested, or are they not picking up their phone because they just don't feel like talking to a salesperson right now? People are growing up self-selling. They're growing up doing their own research. And they're growing up doing this stuff online at their own pace. Salespeople have less ability to insert themselves into somebody's process and drive that process than they used to, because all the information that used to be in the salesperson's desk is now on the computer for anybody to access at any time. So people are self-pacing, like I was saying before. So salespeople should have an active say in how those programs should work. Most salespeople want these programs to occur at their companies. They know in their heart that they shouldn't just let leads fall by the wayside, but they don't know what else to do. So that's important. Including sales and lead scoring discussions. I kind of talked about this. Helping define and take some ownership of lead scoring is going to be important. Testing new processes with single reps or small teams before rolling it out in general. If you have a relatively large sales team, I never recommend pushing a full-blown lead scoring model out live without having tested it first. Here's one of the main things. Like if I was to go to a CEO and try to explain to a CEO what sales marketing alignment is and what marketing automation and CRM can do when they're working together, I would bring this. This was something I did with Forrester a couple of years ago, and I still use it today because it really just, visually it just makes sense, right? One of the problems that marketing and sales have had historically, the reason they don't understand each other or don't get along, is that marketing has been trained from 101 textbooks through their professional career that the most important thing that they need to care about is reach. I need to reach the most people with my message for the least spend. Okay, that is core fundamental. It's right up there with the 5 Ps of marketing. That's why Super Bowl ads cost so much. I mean, everything about marketing is about reach. So marketers, no matter what you try to tell them, their desire is to reach as many people with their message as possible, capture as many leads as possible, and spend as little money as possible. Sales. How many here are in sales? Okay. Tell me who salespeople want to talk to. Who would you want to spend your time on the phone with?
Zero.
If you had to define who your ideal person that you want to talk to on the phone is as a salesperson. Decision maker. Okay. Because the decision maker has the capacity to what?
Make a decision.
And buy, right? Salespeople only want to talk to somebody that has the capacity to buy. That's it, right? That's a much smaller group universe than the people that marketing want to talk to. Marketing wants to talk to everybody. They're the social butterfly at the party. Sales is over there figuring out who's single, right? So the problem is that historically marketing would go out and work this way, shovel as many leads as they possibly could over to sales, and that was their metric for success. What happens is sales would get bottlenecked right here. So sales would look at the leads that marketing's sending over, and I can't call 1,000 people this week. I have a quota. I got numbers to reach. I don't have time to do this. So they cherry pick. I know this company. Yeah, I could probably sell them something. No, so-and-so used to work at this company. And they go through that kind of gut feel mental routine, and they selectively pull out who they think has the capacity to buy. They think. The problem is that a certain percentage of the remainder, let's say they picked out 10% of 1,000, a certain percentage of the 900 could buy. Sales just didn't know that through their gut feel analysis. So they slowly leak out the bottom of the funnel, and off they go to another website that has marketing automation, and they get pounced on the moment they hit the website. So marketing automation doesn't reduce this. It eliminates it entirely. Completely eliminates this problem in any company where it's installed properly. That's a powerful thing to tell to a CEO, because there's a dollar value to that, right? You can actually get to a point where you can calculate with reasonable accuracy the cost of leads leaking out of your funnel. Okay. Questions? Okay. Nurture programs are a huge part of this. So nurture programs are kind of like workflow, right? I can build a program. These little blue boxes are emails. These are tasks in CRM. It lets me kind of build a program visually, so it's easier for marketers to do that. Nurture programs that align marketing and sales, like the one I gave you the example to, would be lead status is changed in CRM. We put people into campaigns. It's kind of like a tennis match. Marketing creates a program. We put people in it. Some people respond. Some of those go to sales. Some of them make it and get qualified. Some don't. They may not get disqualified. They just may go nowhere, which is really where the bulk of leads go. They go nowhere. We don't know if they're qualified or not because they won't pick up the phone. So rather than leave them by the wayside, sales passes them back to marketing. Marketing puts them into a program. As the program's going through, it gets to a certain point. We say, well, have you done this? Have you clicked on this link and downloaded this? If so, well, I'm going to fire a task off to the salesperson and say, you should probably call them today because you have a pretty good shot at getting them on the phone if they're active on our site today. That's pretty much the essence of it. Sending alerts to prospects when they become active is a very mundane thing. Technically, it's pretty easy. We send an email to a salesperson, but when salespeople get those alerts, it's driving interaction at the time when a prospect is most likely to want to talk to you, when they're doing their research, et cetera. And you shouldn't be calling up saying, I see what you're doing on my website and that's pretty creepy. It's really, hey, I noticed that you downloaded X. I wanted to let you know we've got Y that's not on our website and that I think you might also find helpful, and stop the interaction there. And then a day later, oh, hey, following up with that piece, I wanted to let you know we've got a webinar coming up in 2 weeks. Salespeople can then hopefully get to that point where they're considered more of an educator and an advisor rather than somebody just trying to take your money, right? And that's the kind of interactions that we try to facilitate with the marketing automation. So again, marketing alignment, a couple of key bullet points. We want to drive meaningful person-to-person engagement. Be real clear about one thing. I'll leave you with this one thought, is marketing automation systems are not meant to take salespeople out of the process. Quite the opposite. We're trying to use nurture programs to get salespeople re-engaged with prospects sooner, just in a smarter way. Engage prospects when interest is high, put some control back in sales hands, keep sales excited about lead gen marketing efforts. Lead scoring ensures only the SQLs move to sales, meaning we're going to keep our CRM a little bit cleaner. SQL is an acronym for sales qualified lead. So marketing automation's future, where's it going? Fully integrated to CRM, no question. That's all companies like Salesfusion think about day in and day out. How do we integrate better with CRM systems? How do we do sales marketing alignment? You know, we still develop our cool little features that marketers really care about. But at the end of the day, this has evolved beyond, you know, the latest and greatest way to send an email. Content delivery focus. How do we get the right message to the right people? How do we nurture people over time? Revenue-centric metrics. A hub for all marketing technologies. We want marketers to have that place. Salespeople have their place. We want marketers to have their place where they go to do everything. And that may involve the inherent technology we build. It may also involve bringing other technology in from the outside. On the fully integrated to CRM, what we mean by that is all the interactions that marketing captures are automatically pushed to a record in CRM, so that a salesperson go in and see, oh, they did this, oh, they did that, oh, they downloaded this, they downloaded that, but they didn't download this. Let me offer them this. So it gives them some information they can use. Integrated lead management workflow, handling the assignment, the tracking, the nurturing, closed loop analytics, sales as relying on marketing data and other sources, and joint ownership of the funnel. This is pretty much where we see things going. Content delivery is important. Without content, nurture marketing doesn't function. It's the gasoline for the Ferrari, so to speak. Figuring out content marketing is not easy. It's something that a lot of companies struggle with. It's an impetus to getting nurture programs running oftentimes. So solving that's going to be a key issue for a lot of firms that are looking to buy marketing automation systems. On the revenue-centric metrics, return on marketing investment is really the sole metric that matters for most companies today. Programs tied to CRM sales ops, to the penny spend analysis, lead conversion metrics, these are all very important metrics that are coming out of these systems. Hub for all marketing technologies, again, like CRM is to sales or the front office in general, marketing automation is that hub that brings everything into one place. It'll never bring probably everything into one place, just like CRM doesn't, but things that we don't build we'll bring in through partnership, like on the data side, bringing in data like Inside View and Zoom Info. That's the spiel. So if anybody has any questions, be happy to field them.
Okay. A couple of questions, Kevin. How long would you say it takes to implement a marketing automation tool in an organization?
So the actual pushing of buttons to implement is about, in most cases, a relatively quick process. You're looking at a couple of hours, and that's getting it connected up to your CRM. Then the systems will sync the first time. That could take a while depending on how big your CRM database is, because marketing automation systems will look into your CRM system and pull down leads and contacts and accounts to use in programs. So if you have a database of 1 million people in there, you know, it could take 24 hours to sync and replicate. Beyond that, I'd say 1 month to get proficient, and that's going through onboarding and training and learning all the ins and outs. Second month to really kind of, you know, get mastery of some parts of the app. Third month, you should be, end of the third month, you should be, you know, a master of a marketing automation system, and you should have lead scoring running by that point.
And how long does it take to, as far as like the lead scoring, I mean, how long is that process of setting up your lead scoring? Who makes those decisions?
Yes, setting up leads, where I could build a lead scoring model in 15 minutes, but figuring out what are the right metrics is really kind of what you have to think through. I like to say, let your marketing automation system run for at least a month, run programs through it. You have to get data going through the system. And then once you get data going through the system, then you should have marketing and sales sit down, a leader from marketing or a leader from sales sit down, with perhaps even, you know, a C-level representation to really kind of plan out what do you want to get out of your marketing from your lead scoring. The thing about lead scoring is you have to know the environment you're working in. So you could have companies that what I call are lead poor, okay? They're companies that, you know, have historically marketed based on the quality of their salesperson's Rolodex, okay? They're not going to be an inbound engine of leads, right? So when you're lead poor, and they may be trying to change from that, because actually that model is going to fail, right? It's just not going to work anymore. So, you know, they may have a situation where at best maybe they're pushing 10, 15 leads through their system each month, right? meaning maybe 10 or 15 people are calling them or filling out a contact me, I want to buy something for them. So in those cases, you're going to have to think real carefully about starting out with a lead scoring model that's a little more generous, and then adjusting it a few months later, stopping and saying, well, how many leads have we pushed? If we're pushing too many and too many are sitting and not being called, then we've got to dial it back down a little bit. And your lead scoring model won't be right upon implementation. You'll adjust it and tweak it as you go. And I would say after you run it for the first month, stop, really sit down and look at the metrics, talk to sales. Hey, we passed you these 15. What happened? Were they good? Were they bad? You have to do that kind of repetitive analysis. And that should go on for about 3 months, stopping every month to really look at it and then making the adjustments to it.
Okay. So at what point, I guess, would a company know that they need to implement marketing automation? Like, is there a, like, size of the company, or maybe something's happening?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing SMBs implement it for sure. Typically, though, an SMB, like somebody with one person on a marketing team and maybe 3 salespeople, under 5 million in revenue. The reality of the situation is a company that size is not going to run enough programs to run enough data through the system to be valuable. So you'd have to question that. And I would question that the same way I would say, okay, when does a sales organization need a CRM system, right? If I've got 2 reps and my sales are pretty small, then I don't know if I'd go out and invest in a big CRM system. So size of company is important. I'd say 3 to 5 people in a marketing team is a good baseline. More than 5 salespeople, and you market online through at least 3 channels, meaning you do email and webinars, you do direct, okay, you do some level of inbound, maybe through PPC and SEO, okay, and you're doing some events. Because when you're running those many programs, having a system like this will make running those programs a lot more efficient. It'll probably open up and allow you to do more of those programs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I work with nonprofits primarily, and I'm curious to know if any of the larger nonprofits, like Red Cross or somebody like that, is using things like that. Because they're using, I work with folks that are using HubSpot and Infusionsoft and some of those systems that work, to push out marketing information and integrate with Salesforce, which is what I work with primarily.
Yeah, so the question is, are nonprofits using it? And absolutely, we actually have a number of nonprofits, some small, some large, that use it. Nonprofits are actually, marketing automation is purpose-built for a nonprofit, mostly because how you solicit donations is through regular engagement with a donor, okay? So nurture programs, right? Figuring out who's interested in this cause, getting them to sign up, for information on the website, and then nurturing them through long-term programs and making them aware when there's fund drives and things like that. They're using the nurture marketing programs to do that and provide information about the benefits or the events or whatever's going on with the charity, making people aware of that. Email marketing for nonprofits can be very difficult, right? Because oftentimes you're going after, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but you're going after free mail addresses for the most part, right? So I'm going after a Gmail or a Yahoo address. And if you're trying to solicit funds, if I'm just blasting out an email going, hey, donate to the SPCA, give us your money, right? So many of those solicitation emails are now associated with phishing, okay? PH phishing, that they get blocked by Gmail and Yahoo, et cetera, and they never even make it to the inbox. So deliverability is a huge issue for nonprofits. And marketing automation systems operate a little bit differently than the constant contacts of the world in how we set the email systems up, because the emails look like they're coming directly from you rather than from someone spoofing the domain or somebody using a shared IP like Constant Contact. So that's another reason we see a lot of nonprofits look at us. But yeah. Other questions? Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Yep.